horrifying truth is that the Afghanistan debacle is just a small part of Democrats' complete and total betrayal of the American people during the Biden years. The tragedy that we just witnessed the day before Thanksgiving is a reminder that untold thousands of terrorists, gang members, and criminals were invited into our country and remain here to this very day. The border is now secure, thanks to President Trump, but the threat in our interior remains real and urgent. These public safety threats are already inside our land, and President Trump was elected on a promise to find and remove them, and he has already taken significant steps and made significant progress towards fulfilling this promise. But there is more work to be done because President Trump believes that he has a sacred obligation to reverse the calamity of mass, unchecked migration into our country. As a result, the Trump administration is now actively re-examining all of the Afghans imported into the country by Joe Biden. Any individual who threatens our national security or our citizenry will be subject to removal. Here are the facts. The terrorist who gunned down American soldiers blocks away from the White House in an ambush was an Afghan national who was flown into our country by Joe Biden's administration in September 2021 in the chaotic wake of their botched withdrawal from Afghanistan, one of the most embarrassing moments in the history of our great country. Joe Biden's historic failure in Afghanistan continues to haunt this country and our men and women in uniform.
I'll cross to Kristi in the US in just a moment, where the immigration crackdown continues after authorities revealed the Afghan suspect in the National Guard shooting in Washington, D.C. was radicalised in the US. Homeland Secretary Kristi Noem isn't taking any chances. Here she is speaking with the NBC.
The president is absolutely determined to stop all processes at this point in time from third world countries until we can have a thorough opportunity to go through these individuals, know that they're here for the right intentions, and that they even should be in our country to begin with. He's putting Americans first, their safety first.
Hell of a crackdown going on. Donald Trump, we know, has already been tough on border control and illegal immigration. But as our US contributor Kristen Tate explains, he's getting even tougher.
Yeah, this latest round of toughness comes after this Afghan national who came to the United States, by the way, amid Biden's disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan, opened fire on 2 National Guard troops. One of those individuals died. The other is in critical condition in the hospital. Just before we went to air, I was on Twitter and saw Kristi Noem put out another statement. She is saying that she just met with President Trump and she's recommending a full travel ban on every nation that is, quote, flooding our nation with killers, leeches, and entitlement junkies. So this is going to be potentially a very wide-ranging ban on travel from countries that have not been specified yet, I suppose. But I have to tell you, Chris, this is supported by the vast majority of the MAGA voter base. Something needs to change, and God bless Donald Trump for stepping up and saying, hey, you know what, there are a lot of great immigrants on an individual level, but this country just cannot have wide open borders, and we're going to fix that.
In Trump term one, way back then, what was called a Muslim ban, migration ban, was really a ban on countries, immigrants from countries where there was a lot of trouble with Islamist extremist terrorism. This latest ban, taking it to a travel ban rather than just a migration ban, it's going to be framed in the same way, isn't it? Because it's going to be largely countries where Islamist extremism is a problem.
Yes, of course. And I do think, however, that the kind of panic that the media will be able to create because of this will be much less significant than when they did it during the first Trump administration.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the focus on the president, the Trump hysteria, the Trump derangement syndrome. It seems to be still pretty strong at the New York Times because they've come out with a piece attacking him really over a lower performance because of his age, of all things. They're saying that compared to his first term, Donald Trump is starting his day later and finishing at the same time. They seem to suggest he's a bit tired and old, but I would have thought, observing him from afar, it doesn't seem to be the case.
course. And these are the same liars who told us for 4 straight years that Biden had never been sharper and he was really on it and he was just, so sharp and we all should stop talking about any concerns about his health. How dare you talk about that? Meanwhile, the whole country's sitting there watching an actual vegetable be wheeled on the stage and we have no idea who's making decisions and actually running the United States of America. It's those same people who wagged their fingers at us for asking questions. Now, talking about concerns about President Trump, who we are all watching being very energetic. He's very accessible to the press. He's constantly out there. He's involved personally in almost every major issue we're talking about as a nation. It's just laughable, Chris.
It is extraordinary to watch. Let's have a look at some pictures here of Joe Biden stumbling up the stairs. These are the sorts of pictures we've seen many times before. And, of course, when this occurred during his term as president, a lot of the media were simply defending him. Have a look at this piece here from the New York Times where they tell us that he's 100% fine. He's doing 100% while he's boarding Air Force One. That's important context because the reporter who wrote that story is the same reporter for the New York Times who's been saying that Donald Trump is slowing down, and so the White House press sec Caroline Levitt had a bit of fun with that. Have a look.
It's deeply unfortunate that this story was written by the same outlet and the same reporter who wrote this. Biden is doing 100% fine after tripping while boarding Air Force One. Oh, same outlet, same reporter who wrote that President Trump is not fit for the job. Are you kidding me? You all see him almost every single day. He is the most accessible president in history.
The hypocrisy is just astounding. Now, I'm all for scrutiny on a president and let's question whether or not they're up to the job. But the contrast here by the same leftist media is just laughable.
It's great, though, because these people have no relevance anymore. No one cares about what these people at the New York Times think or say anymore. Nobody under the age of 70 reads the New York Times at this point. And these little journalists are just stomping their feet and screaming into the ether because they're so mad that they are just irrelevant now. But the rest of us are just laughing at them and their blatant hypocrisy. Just
before you let you go, a little sidelight, Christmas decorations being shown off at the White House, and they give us an insight of this picture. There's a painting there of Donald Trump after he was hit by that bullet in Pennsylvania. That's we've all seen the photos, an actual portrait showing that scene, Kristen.
Yeah, unbelievable. Just the whole, scene that she created in the White House for Christmas is just so patriotic, including that portrait. It's poised. Everything about it is perfect. There were even some little needle points in the background of George Washington, and then there was one of Trump. It was just beautiful, and it made me very proud to be an American. And, it was like, if that decor display was a Chanel suit, Jill Biden's display, her Christmas display last year was like something off the clearance rack from Party City or something. I think we talked about it last year. She had like a woke band of clowns doing a big dance number in the White House. It looked like a human version of the game Candyland. It was so embarrassing, but this is beautiful.
The lefties don't really like Christmas, Kristen, that's for sure.
No, they don't.
Thanks for joining us. We'll catch up with you again next week.
Thank you, Chris.